Hey everybody, welcome to the Wednesday night stream. No, it's been a long break between the last stream because we had a little local tournament here on Sunday that I was officiating. I was running and officiating, so I wasn't able to stream for you guys on Sunday. But I made sure to post about that on the social medias so you could check it out. Spec Ops, what's up, buddy? We had some awesome prize support from Elric's Hobbies and TabletopGamer.com, so just wanted to throw a thank you over to those guys again. Really appreciate that. Everybody loved it. It was a great time had by all. So I'm ready to get back to work. So got a couple of really cool things we're going to be working on. I am going to be continuing the Deathwatch stuff. Not Deathwatch, goddammit. Deathwing stuff. We're going to be working on our Terminator Librarian today a little bit. That we started last time on Saturday. So we've got him right over here. Getting most of those basic colors blocked in. Still got a couple of more colors to block in before doing some secondary washes and starting our highlights. And getting him to where he's to a finished spot. So we've got him right here. Got his shoulder pad over here as well. Get that Deathwing shoulder pad we've been working on. And then the other thing we're going to be working on today is a project that I'm kind of excited about. This guy right here. This is an old miniature from 2012. This is the Games Day exclusive 2012 Blood Angels hero. I don't think he's got a name. He's just a Blood Angels captain, and he has done like the art style of this thing right here. The super awesome second edition Codex Imperialis that I got with the miniature, which is really cool, not only because it's a collector item, but because I did not know this was going to be coming with it. I don't think the person selling it knew exactly what they were selling, because the eBay listing said, like, 2012 Games Day exclusive miniature with magazine. It was basically all it said. So I assumed that it meant like a brochure or something from that specific Games Day that they hand out. Has like the schedule of events and some stuff in there. But then I opened it up and I was like, holy shit! It's like a almost perfect condition second edition Codex Imperialis. It's a pretty cool collector's item to get as a surprise. Pretty stoked about that. So yeah, we're going to be doing some airbrushing on this guy. It is a really cool model, lots of detail. I mean, it isn't like a fine cast model, and I gotta say, this was one of the more horrendous examples of fine cast, and luckily I'm not the best sculptor in the world, but I can fix stuff if I need to by doing a little bit of sculpting. So hopefully just by looking at it you can't tell where I had to resculpt a bunch of stuff. But I definitely did have to get him to where he's looking pretty good. So I'm pretty excited to be able to work on him. And then we're not going to start it today, but I've got another project that I'm pretty stoked about right here. We've got this guy. And yeah, he's had some modifications done to him, but you can tell this is the exclusive, or not exclusive, but like limited edition Imperial Space Marine model that came out about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. Sculpted in the style of the old Rogue Trader, but with all of like the fancy new sculpting techniques and plastic injection and all that kind of stuff. And I am in love with this model. I love the look of the old Rogue Trader stuff. I wish I could have a whole army of these guys in tons of different poses, but sadly they only ever made one pose. And he's kind of hard to find now, but I found one at a pretty reasonable price. And I did some thinking about how I kind of wanted to do it, and I thought a cool way to paint this model, to give it kind of a theme beyond just being like an old Rogue Trader thing, was to make him a Fallen. Because I've got the Dark Angel stuff, and thematically it kind of works with the army. And so I took I think this is a shoulder pad from the Dark Angels Veteran upgrade box. that came with, you know, it's like 5 models that make company veterans with like all the cool Dark Angel stuff, but he's got this like kind of tattered Dark Angel's banner hanging off of this shoulder pad. And then, you know, they've got like the little backpack emblems, so I had a little Dark Angel's backpack emblem. I didn't want to go overboard with it because he's already got a ton of cool stuff. And then just like a little Dark Angel's pendant hanging off of that rope right there, kind of put onto one of the studs on that shoulder pad. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of paint him as a Fallen. Like, that's kind of the cool thing about the Fallen, is like you don't know if they're still loyal. You don't know if they're actually traitors, if they've gone to Chaos or not. I mean, like, some of them definitely have become traitors and gone to Chaos, but some of them might just, maybe they had to, you know, pursue some secrets, and the chapter didn't like that, and they kind of had to run off and become a Fallen. So I think that's a cool little way to paint that. We'll be working on him probably on Saturday in conjunction with the Blood Angels guy after we finish up our Librarian, so I'm looking forward to that. Kalini, what's up, man? So I'm hoping to get this Librarian done pretty quickly, and the rest of this Deathwing squad done pretty quickly, so that I can focus on the Imperial Guard stuff coming up. I did finally get in our canopy pieces that did not come with our Vulture gunship. So now that I have these, I can actually paint the Vulture gunship, because I've been looking forward to it and I haven't been able to paint it because it didn't have the canopy. I mean, it came with the canopy, you know, window trim stuff, but I've already assembled this dang thing. I wanted to paint it for my Mordian army, and I haven't been able to. Got a ton of cat hair on it. But yeah, so as soon as I finish up this first little bit of Deathwing stuff, I can take a break, focus on our Imperial Guard, and I really want to paint that Vulture gunship. Yeah, and I mean, like, it's kind of cool because he's like an old armor mark. So I think that would be kind of like a cool throwback way to do it. Because I mean, like, even like a lot of the stuff they get from the Horus Heresy for those like older armor marks does come from a lot of that early edition artwork and stuff like that. And then the other thing we're going to be doing for both of these new miniatures is we're going to be using these new bases from Elric's Hobbies that I got in the mail. These are the Fleur de Leaf bases, the new baseline he just came out with. You can see it's like this ruined temple with these really cool Fleur de Leaf symbols cut into the stone, and then some nice like dirt and rubble. And then the other pattern of tile work is like that. Super, super bold. It's going to look really cool as some ruined temple stuff. We'll be using these as the basis for these two miniatures. And I've got some other ones, some other packages that I'll be doing for some giveaways in the future. And I've got I bought one of his new flyer bases with that on there as the flyer base for the Vulture. So that'll be really cool. Because pretty much all the Mordian stuff is just like dirt with texture on it. So if I paint the rubble and dirt part of that base in the same color, then it'll work thematically, and it'll just be like a cool, unique base for that Vulture gunship, and it'll look nice. So that's kind of the docket for right now. And then after I finish up all the 40k stuff that I need to get done for the SoCal Long War Doubles and the Adepticon trip, I'm going to be shifting gears into some Infinity again, because I haven't painted Infinity in a while, and I got some stuff coming in for some Infinity models that I haven't gotten to paint. I've been wanting to for a long time, so we're going to be having some Infinity projects coming up after all the 40k stuff is kind of wrapped up, barring any super new Games Workshop releases that happen between now and then, you know. Because I mean, like, if something comes out in like mid-December or you know, January or something, or February, then we'll probably want to be doing that. But I think it's time to get to work. So it is Wednesday, which means it's Hobby Hangout Wednesday. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop in the Discord, and the Discord is open. So if any of you guys want to hang out in the Jack Club's Discord and be part of the stream, you are more than welcome. And I'm gonna get to painting. I'm gonna do the airbrushing first. So we're gonna be working on our Blood Angel guy first, doing our armor workup, because all of this is just brush painting right now. So what I want to get done is airbrush this guy and get a wash on him, and have that drying while we work on the Librarian, so that if we get to a part where we're waiting for paint to dry on the Librarian, we can come back and work on this dude. So I'm going to get our compressor going. The airbrush set up and going, and we're going to get to work.
Right.
Oh, hey, what's up, Space Cops?
Doing Space Cops things, chasing down space banditos.
Yeah, of course. Gotta watch out for them space banditos. Hey, TKO, what's up, man? Just running some cleaner through the airbrush. Yeah, it looked like it, but this guy has already been primed. I just did something a little different with our pre-shades, where I started off with a base gray, and then on the underneath you can see there's some black primer, and then on the top you can see there's some white primer, just as kind of a comprehensive pre-shade. It shows up really good on camera. Probably gonna have to turn spec up a bit, because if the technology works like I think it does, the export volume of you to the channel is based on the set user volume coming through my headset. Alright, so speak up.
Hello?
Oh yeah, that's much better. I had you down at like 15%. So I put it back up to 100. People should be able to hear you now.
Yay!
Alright, so let's move some stuff out of the way. Alright. So I was thinking about how I want to airbrush the red on this guy. Make sure there's no dust or anything on him. And I kind of want to go with a more like ultra vibrant red. Then I want to go with a realistic color palette, right? So I want our reds to be really red. I want our yellows to be really yellow. Like I want everything to be pretty larger than life. Because if we look at the studio model that's painted like the artwork, you can see that he is very, very old edition paint style, which I really like. I might do some more metallics on this guy. You can see that like a lot of this stuff that's that I would normally paint metallic, or most people would, is painted black. So like the joints are gonna stay black rubber, but things like this grenade and a lot of the stuff on this sword he's got and parts of the bolter, I'm just gonna do those with a dark metallic to start off, because I like that a little bit better, just as far as a personal thing goes. But everything else I'm going to be trying to kind of emulate that same color scheme. We'll be doing some sick black flame freehand on the armor as well. That'll be cool. So I think what I'm going to do is start off with black red from Vallejo Model Color as our base, and then go from there. I've got a bunch of different red paints, and kind of see what we want to do as we get into it. Because the idea of kind of what I want to do with this guy is combine the newer techniques with the airbrushing and all that stuff with some of the older color palettes and color choices, rather than just kind of doing it like a modern Blood Angels color scheme. So we've got the black red with plenty of flow improver in the airbrush. That's flowing nicely. So you're starting laying down a base coat of this black red. Just putting it on super thin. Not trying to do anything too fancy with our base coat here. I'm just trying to get a nice solid coat of it. Trying to make sure I get into all these little nicks and crannies and make sure none of our primer is showing through. And this guy is kind of one of those older models where you kind of notice, like, see right in the seam between that gun holster and the back armor, there's like just a place where the airbrush is having a hard time getting into. So you just want to be really careful, especially with paint this thin, because you don't want to like open it up too heavy all up in there, because then it'll just pool and get all over the place. Just kind of get in there and hit it a little bit. Hit it again. You don't want to like hold the air on there too long. Kind of like up inside of this shoulder pad here. Okay, keep checking around, making sure you're getting it everywhere. Might take a little longer. That's fine. Okay. I think we got everywhere I need to get. I'm just gonna hit it with one more kind of thin all around coat just to make sure everything is even. About like that. And really nice. Chapter is a 4. Oh, he's a Blood Angel. Old school Blood Angel model. This was a GameStay exclusive miniature back from 2012.
And we all know Blood Angels are the truth now. Not really. We haven't seen them win any big things, but
Yeah, like on paper they seem really good. We'll see. Seems like a good project to do for the stream because it seems like a really cool model. Seems like it'll be a lot of fun to paint, and Blood Angels are in vogue right now, so that means there'll be demand for watching. And since this is going to end up being a top D giveaway miniature when he's done, it means people want it. So it meets all the good criteria. Alright, so now we can think about our next red. So I'm thinking it's either going to be bloody red or flat red. I think flat red is actually brighter. Let's put like a drop out on our palette and check it out. Nope, bloody red is brighter, so we'll go with blood red. I'm in a little bit of trouble with their neck here. Sure to clean this off nice and good. Oh, Control Freak, what's up, man? It's you in forever. Nah, this is just kind of for fun. I've got another Blood Angels project for the plan in the future as well. That's just kind of for fun. So I'm just gonna start building up our highlights, kind of targeting certain spots. Being a little more broad with this. Than I will be with our secondary highlight color. Just because I want a nice, like, bright, kind of like fire engine red for these guys. I like that look for the Blood Angels. Kind of like that really vibrant kind of fire engine red. Still trying to target things though, just so that we can kind of maintain our dark shadows and have some color transition. Got that going on, and we're still seeing some of that black red in the shadows, which is what we want. Clean this color out. I think I'm gonna take a second to kind of do some field maintenance on our airbrush here, because it's kind of being ornery, and I don't know why. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, like we were saying earlier, like Blood Angels is kind of the new hotness right now. And when something new comes out, it's usually a good idea to do a project like that, just to get some.
You got to make sure you got a Dark Angel model for the Dark Angel Codex ready to rock and roll.
Oh, I got a million of those, man.
I know.
So I totally haven't been working on Dark Angels exclusively for the past like month. Some cleaner. I need some cleaner to this bitch.
So with the point reduction in the Fire Raptor, still really thinking about bringing that to the thing.
Once I don't know, is the Long War podcast still going?
I think it just started.
Yeah, you should ask and see if that would be considered like too strong. Because when I was asking Kenny about the Xiphon, he was saying that like if it's by itself like super duper strong, and it has some kind of synergy with something else in your army that just makes it like really powerful, then it's probably too strong. But if it's like the only thing that's strong in your army, that's fine. TG Yak, how do I get my webcam to focus up close? I turned off autofocus. Unless you have like a really high-end camera with really good like autofocus software on it, then what you want to do is set up your frame, find center frame, and then set your focal point. So my focal point is set about right here. So if I hold a model right about there, then it's in focus. If I hold it really far away, it's kind of fuzzy, and if I get it really up close, it's fuzzy. But if I hold it right where it's in center frame, right at my focal point, then it looks fine.
Oh, I guess the podcast is over.
Well, they do two. Remember, they do like the beforehand one, and then they do the one for the actual recording. So I don't know if they'll be like answering the chat very much. I know Mike will like type in the chat, but I don't think they'll talk about it live for the one they're using for the recording. All right, what do I want next? I think I want something like hot orange. This is orange fire. Mix some this orange fire with our bloody red. It should get us a little bit more vibrancy for our secondary highlight. And then I'm going to drop a little bit of white in there too. It might seem like it's way too bright, but that's fine because we're going to wash it back. Get some flow improver. Just to help it along. Give it a good mix. Yeah, and I mean, like, this is really orange. Like I said, that's fine. Because when we come back with our really dark red brown wash that we're going to do with this guy, it'll darken this up a little bit. And it'll be a more natural highlight. So you can see what we're working with. Yeah, it's like hella bright. And this one we're going to be pretty careful. I'm trying to like really target our highlights. We're starting to like get that really nice color transition to that hot orange. Matt Aarons with that sweet $25 donation. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Let me finish this step and then I will see what your message said. Okay, I think we're pretty good there. I'm gonna get the inside of this. The inside of that little leg part there. Okay, so I think our reds are going to be in a good spot. Very, very vibrant red with some nice color transitions. And then when we bring in the wash, it's only going to bring out all the rest of that detail. I am going to block in a couple of more things before we put on a wash. No, I'm not. So this stuff is going to be yellow. I don't want that to get any red wash on it, so we're not going to do that. So that means what I am going to do is clean out the airbrush, check out Matt's message, and then we're going to gloss coat this dude. Trophy. Oh, well, I mean, like, all the codexes are going to be out by, I think, March. I think by the end of March, every single codex should be out. At least that's what the word is at the local games workshops. That's what they've been told. And usually they don't tell those guys much. But I think that's something to kind of assuage the impatience of a lot of people. So that we know that all the codexes will be done by a certain time, so it lets people kind of have an end date in sight. Kiyo Nanashi, what's up, man? Okay. I think all that's cleaned out. Let's see what Matt Aaron said with his message. Cheers from one vet to another. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. So that means that we're going to have a giveaway at the end of the stream, so make sure you stick around. Make sure you're active in the chat so that the bot is giving you your club points. You really only need to say something once every half hour or so. Yeah. I need to check and see what the power axe and the combi weapons are like. Let's see if maybe I can use my Deathwing Librarian with a power axe instead of a power stave. So I modeled him with that kind of halberd thing so that it could be either or. Sent back in time. Oh, well. Oh, son of a bitch. I think I got a bunch. I think I got pigment in my glass coat. Well, I don't drink bourbon, but the thought is definitely appreciated. That should be fine. Okay, that should be good. I'm gonna just let him dry for a little bit. So spray I'm using, that's gloss varnish from Vallejo. It's this stuff right here. Puts a gloss coat on the model, and when it's dry, it lowers the surface tension, so that when you put a liquid on it, like your wash, the wash does not, it wants to bead up, like BEAD, bead up, and it doesn't want to settle and dry on any flat surfaces. It wants to flow into all of the crooks and crannies and all the recessed details. And the shading to your actual colors that you've airbrushed is very minimal, so it ends up being a very clean wash. And then once your wash is dry, take some matte varnish, which gives a very flat appearance to the paint and brings your surface tension back up to normal, so that way you can keep painting on top of it. And it also seals and protects your model. So especially when you're working with metal models, fine cast, and well, like pretty much all models, having multiple varnish coats on the model helps protect that paint and keep it nice. And it'll stop it from aging, and it'll stop it from chipping. Gonna need to pull out the compressor tomorrow and give it a check. It's been wanting to chug on me, and I'm not sure why. It's also why he's super shiny right now, because that gloss coat is like a reflective shiny varnish. So you can see like one of our Deathwing guys here. So in our Deathwing, we did the same thing, hit him with a gloss coat, then put our wash on there, like we put it on there really aggressively. And after it dried, we matte coated it back. So you can see our wash is really clean. We maintained all of our nice airbrush color transitions and everything, but all of our detail is nice and shaded. That's why I like doing the gloss coat as opposed to just like a normal wash. So like we've got Typhus here, and you can see his armor is very dirty. Exact same wash, like pretty much the exact same dark brown Army Painter wash with the quick shade medium in it, but you can see how it's not like stained everywhere, but it's much more stained and shaded and a little bit dirtier than the Deathwing guys. And that's because on the Deathwing I gloss coated them first for a much cleaner look. Oogly, what's up, man? How's it going? Let's see. Okay. Let's touch the bottom of this foot. Gonna give a little like finger test. So it feels a little bit tacky, so let's give that a minute or two more. Make sure that gloss coat is set up, because a lot of times if it's still kind of wet or it's still like kind of taking its time to dry, you put a wash on there, sometimes your brush can actually pick that varnish up off of the model, and it's like this kind of transparent goopy shit that's like kind of tears off the model and looks bad. And then sometimes if it doesn't do that, what might happen is it'll kind of bubble up, and sometimes it turns out fine, and sometimes it turns out bad. Like sometimes if it bubbles up, it'll dry and it'll settle back and it'll dry fine, and then sometimes it won't and it just looks terrible. So gotta be careful. Oh, for the red workup we're doing right now? Sure. So just like a normal primer, you can go with black, you can go with white, you can go with gray. You can do appreciate if you want. The only reason I appreciated him like that is so that he would show up on camera with the primer, so you could see all the details before you started spraying him. But just a normal black primer would work just fine. And then we based him out with black red from Model Color. You can see the number right there, 70.859. It's a really nice dark red, almost a maroon color. I like this for the base of all my reds. And then we went up to Bloody Red for our first highlight. Bloody Red is from Game Air. This is pre-thinned airbrush paint for their Game Color line, because they have Model Color and Model Air, and they have Game Color and Game Air. So Bloody Red was our second one. That's 72.710. And then what we did is we took some of our Game Air Orange Fire and then mixed that about 50-50 with our Bloody Red, and then added a few drops of some white primer, just using my Stynylrez white primer here, to get that kind of like medium red-orange pastel color, and just sprayed it on real thin, targeting these areas so we'd have a nice color transition. Like that, kind of like an orange fire almost. Like red to orange fire for this really vibrant red armor. And then we're gonna throw a dark red-brown wash over it to kind of shade that back a little bit. So like order of operations would be like primer, black red, bloody red, mix of bloody red and hot orange and white, and then gloss coat, and then we're gonna wash. And when that wash is dry, we're gonna matte coat. And then after the matte coat, we'll block in some of our other colors, put some washes on those, keep highlighting up until he's done. Okay, should be good now. So let's get out one of our little bottle caps. Picked this up from Next Level Painting. He likes to use old water bottle caps for wash tins. I prefer these. These are from like a Gatorade bottle or vitamin water in this case, because they're a little bit bigger, so I can mix up more. But you can also use smaller ones, like these little small water bottle caps for smaller projects. But I like this one. It's a little bit bigger. So for the Army Painter wash system, we're going to be using something called the Quick Shade Wash Mixing Medium. And this is just a clear medium. I know it looks white on camera, but it actually is transparent. It's just very concentrated in this bottle. So just get a little bit of this, and then mix it kind of like 70-30 with whatever wash you're going to use. So I'm going to be using some red tone from Army Painter, and I'm also going to be using some strong tone, which is like a dark brown, kind of like Agrax earth shade. And then I'm going to pull out our dark tone, which is like a black brown, really dark, and I'm going to use this in a second. I'll show you why. So what I like to do is get our quick shade in there and then put in the actual color pigment that you want your wash to be. So in this case, some red tone and some strong tone, kind of brownish color. And then we'll get a little bit of water about there. Make sure your wash brush is nice and rinsed out, doesn't have any junk in it. Should be good. And then we're just going to mix this up. And you can see that concentrated mixing medium tends to brighten up our wash pigment a little bit. So what I like to do is kind of mix it up to right there so it's nice and mixed up. And then we bust out our dark tone, then you just add drops as needed. Start off with 3 till it gets to the right darkness. And you shouldn't ever add enough dark tone to where it completely blocks out your actual pigment. So you see we get this like really nice dark maroon color. It's kind of what we want. You can run that. So if you see here, like we'll run it on my finger. It's like a really dark red, really dark black red. That's what we're wanting. This is the clear Vallejo gloss varnish, and then Vallejo matte varnish. And then we're just going to come in and start getting this all up in there, being fairly aggressive with our wash, letting it get into all the little bits, all the little nooks and crannies. And if it just pulls up any one place too much, you can always kind of wipe your brush off on a paper towel and then come back and wick it away. But initially I like to be really aggressive because this stuff is kind of foolproof as long as you're paying attention. with the gloss coat and the quick shade medium kind of helping out, because the quick shade medium by itself will help you get a cleaner wash. It helps disperse the wash over the model without reducing any of the pigment. So like once I've been super aggressive with the wash, I can always come back. And if it's like settled way too much in any one area, I can pull it out of there. Make sure I got everywhere. Get all of it around this collar. Okay, you can see there's kind of a few places like back here. So just dabbing my brush off a little bit, and you can just kind of push it in there and it'll soak that wash out. Like down here on this foot, kind of like up in here, you can just kind of soak it out. And then if you need to, you can always just kind of go back over the area again with the brush. Just kind of making sure that I'm not getting any little pools anywhere on our really bright highlights. Make sure that there's not like a big stain right on top of it, because that would just mean you undid all the work to get those highlights in place. I have a little bit too much in here. Okay, that should be good. See all our details coming back out. And we'll just kind of turn them right side up. Soak a little bit more of this wash out of here. And looks like we're good to go. Get a little bit more in there. Okay, looking good. Sweet. And then waste not, want not, so I'm just going to pull the cap off of our red tone, since this is a really dark red wash to begin with, and I'm just going to put it back into our red tone. And I'll have to check out what this guy looks like after he's kind of dry, if I need to come back with an even darker red, like a Careboard Crimson. Or maybe if I need some extra darkness, I might come back with an Agrax or maybe even Nuln Oil, depending. It's totally okay to do multiple washes, especially with the gloss coat on there. If you just need to do a secondary wash, you can slap one on there real quick, and it's not going to really stain anything. It'll help get down into all those recesses. Back. Especially if I think our shadows aren't dark enough in any place. Like so far I'm not really seeing too much of a problem, but you kind of have to wait for it to dry up a little bit more before you can really tell. And then I'll get set up to work on our little Deathwing Librarian we got here, because we still need to block in some colors on him. So we'll take our Blood Angel guy and we'll set him off to the side so he can be drying up. And then we'll get out our Deathwing Librarian that we started last time. Make sure there's no dust or anything on him. So I think where we left off last time was we still needed to block in his little ropes and all of the parchment and stuff on the purity seals and on his book and stuff. And then he was ready to get some secondary washes done. So let's start doing that. Look at this paint thinned out a little bit more thin than I kind of wanted it, so I'm just gonna have to do 2 passes, which is fine. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And you just do a pass, wait for it to get good and dry, and then do a second pass. It's usually pretty good to go. Alright, I think that's all the rope on the front. Yeah, looks like. So we can go on to the rope on the back, work on that bit. Just taking our time, being real careful. We don't want to get any of this, or we don't want it. And I'm going to use this same color to paint this little thing like it's a bookmark. we go. Let's do a second pass on our bit of rope back here, just to make sure color is nice and solid. There we go. And then I think we can do our purity seals and our parchment. And I've been using purple for the wax on all of our Deathwing, so I'm just using some model color purple. Just gonna get a little bit out. Thin it with some water. Paint these little purity seals. I think he's only got 2 of them. Oh, he's got like a little wax seal on this little scroll, so I'll just go ahead and do that. Same color wax. That, and then he's got a purity seal in his book, which is going to be a little tricky to get to. It's directly underneath his arm, but I think we can manage. Like that. And then he's got one in the back of this larger book that's like kind of his little banner right here. Like so. And then I think that is all of our purity seal stuff that we'll need this color for. So we can rinse that out. Yeah, you just want to have like a really dark contrast wash. So with the black red, I usually go with like Agrax or Nuln Oil, and then I pick a really vibrant red, and you just got to be really careful and just kind of go in there and get a little hash mark on every single one of those little rope bits. It's like, it's really the only way to do it. It's just a lot of patience and getting it done. For the Deathwing guys, I'm actually going for kind of a subdued red, so it's not very vibrant, but you can see, you know, you just got to take the time to just get in there and like get a little dash on each one of those little sculpted bulges in the rope, and it'll look great. Okay, so I think we can do our parchment now, and I like using a color called Buff from Model Color. I don't know why they called it Buff, because in Spanish it literally says yellow khaki, but they wanted to call it Buff. So I'm just gonna get this out, gonna thin it with some water. I like using this for parchment, for paper. Just go to town, because he's got a lot of parchment on him. And I think for this guy, since I don't really want him to be weathered with like the scratches and the armor cracking the rest of the Deathwing, because he's like a hero, I think what I'm going to do is just take the time to kind of freehand some stuff on these bits of parchment. Like, I don't know if I'll actually do words, probably just like little squiggles for words, but I can definitely do some kind of like psychic symbol, like arcane symbols kind of drawn onto them. Maybe like some, I think they call them what, like psychic wards in the books when they talk about having them to protect them. Just Come in here, being real careful I don't get this anywhere I don't want it, because we've already blocked in pretty much everything around it. Oh, my palette? I like to use the, like a dry palette. So it's just the, what is this stuff called? It's like, it's the stuff they sell at GW. It's like the throwaway palette paper. I think it's what it's called. Palette pad. Citadel palette pad stuff. It's kind of like a plasticky film paper stuff. I do have a wet palette, I just don't use it very often. I only use it for projects that I'm going to do some wet blending on. Go. Okay, he's got some. Max Payne, what's up, dude? Going good. Just working on this here Librarian. Only wait for the wash to dry on our Blood Angel guy, which will probably be done by the time I finish blocking the stuff in and then put a wash on it, so we'll get to kind of like transition back and forth. And I'm just gonna creep in here and get the pages of this book. Gonna I think this is supposed to have kind of like a book, like cover on it that kind of has like a flap down there. I think that's how it's sculpted, so just get like the ends of the book. About like that. I think that's all the paper that's showing. Yeah, let me I can, once I'm finished with this, I can pan the camera over and I can show you what the palette is. It's just a pretty straight up palette, nothing special. It's what I'm comfortable using. What I used to have was a sheet of plasticard that I would put paint on as a dry palette, but it just got to the point where there was so much paint like dried and piled up on it that I just couldn't scrape it off anymore. So I wanted to try out this like palette paper stuff that they were advertising, and it turns out I like it. It's got the exact same feel as that plasticard that I was using, but it's much thinner, and when I get too much paint on something, I can just toss it in the trash and pull another one off of the pad. How do I keep paint from drying? Well, I mean, like, the short answer is, like, you kind of don't. I mean, eventually it will dry out. But I'm so used to it, so used to using it, and I'm so used to, like, using the paints that I have, that I've just kind of grown accustomed to, like, how much paint to actually get out at any one time, so that I'm not putting like too much out or too little, and like how much water to use. And like sometimes I'll like if I'm painting a whole lot of stuff, kind of like right now, then I will just like periodically add a little bit more water to the paint to kind of refresh it and keep it from drying out. But a lot of times, since like the majority of the paint work that I do, when we're talking about like bulk painting, like assembly line painting, I get a lot of that done with the airbrush, and then when I come back to do other things, I just put a little bit out at a time so that I never really have any paint dry up. And it's not really a problem when I'm doing single miniatures like this guy, you know. Just get a little bit out, and in the time it takes me to like finish these steps, you know, the paint's not going to dry out. Because I hate batch painting. Like, it's one of my least favorite things to do in this hobby. So like I try to avoid it as much as possible. Which is why, like, if I'm working on a squad of like 10 guys, then I'll work on maybe like 2 to 4 of them at a time, maybe 5 of them if I'm feeling froggy. Just so that I'm not sitting here painting like this, like one color on the same part on like 10 different models, just like over and over and over again ad nauseum. So paint drying on my palette's like never really been a problem. Like I said, if I'm working on a project where I really want to do some like glaze, some nice glaze highlights, do some wet blending or something like that, I have a wet palette that I can bust out and use. Have it ready to go. Plus, like, since I use so many different manufacturers, of paint from different companies. I like the dry palette because I can control how thin down a paint gets more easily than on a wet palette. So, because like some paints I want to be less thin so they have more stick, or I want to be like really, really watery so that I can use them as like a really thin glaze or almost like a wash. And well, the wet palette is really good for keeping your paints from drying out and having like nice thin paints all the time. It all kind of has like a uniform wetness to it that sometimes is just kind of not in that like Goldilocks zone of just right that I'm looking for. And so I prefer to use a dry palette because of that. Most of the time I just tell people to use whatever makes you the most comfortable. So I mean, at the end of the day, this is a hobby and it's about having fun. So I don't want you to be like struggling with some piece of equipment just because somebody said it was really good. But you can see that's the palette paper right there. It's like white plasticky paper stuff that comes on a pad. I think it's like $8 or something. I've had this for, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months, and I'm just now getting to where it's in like the last 10 sheets. It's pretty good value, I'd say. One of the few like bargain value stuff that you're ever going to see from Games Workshop. Okay. I think that is just about everything. I do have a couple of little teeny things that I need to touch up before I put a wash on this. There's some stuff that I missed or didn't cover very good last time. Some of these golds that I just want to get on there before I put a wash on. Seen the ones at Hobby Lobby? No, I have not. I'm almost never go to a Hobby Lobby or a Michael's. I don't think they have a uniform stock. And the ones here in town are just like really bad about having like hobby stuff. Like what they consider hobby stuff is like fucking kids' toys and model cars and like RC drones is like the big fad right now. So they don't have a whole lot of like supplies that I would want. We have another store, a chain store down here called Hobbytown USA, and that place is dedicated to hobby supplies like what we would want for miniatures and model building. So I always go there. And usually the only time I go there is when I need more airbrush cleaner. So I might have to end up going sometime this month because I'm on my last bottle. Was that all the stuff that I missed? I think so. I'm not seeing anything else. Of course, I probably won't notice it until after I've already put a wash on. It's usually how it works. Oh, that's pretty good value. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of picky. Like, if I'm gonna go shopping for something, I usually like to go to like a specialty shop. rather than like a big store that has like a whole bunch of crap that I don't care about, which is why I almost never go to a Hobby Lobby. I prefer the hobby towns and like the mom and pop shops that carry like all the miniature stuff. Because I just like kind of generally hate shopping and having to like deal with people in big department stores. So usually my rule of thumb is like if I absolutely need it right now, I'll probably just like run out to a store real quick. And if I can wait a few days, I'll just use Amazon or eBay or whatever. All right, so I think we can start doing our secondary washes. I'm gonna get out our Agrax Surshade. Even normal Nuln Oil. There it is. Agrax Sepia and Nuln Oil and beep beep boo. Beep beep boo. Steel Tangerine. So these are Sepia for our little yellow hoses right here. Okay. We'll get all the stuff that we need to be black, like our golds and our other metallics. Just come in with our Nuln Oil. Get that in there. Try to sneak some of this up on his little psychic hood without getting too much black wash on his flesh, because we want a flesh tone for that. All these details pop back out. Oh, I forgot to paint the handle. God damn it. Oh well. I could always come back and do that. It's not a big deal. I knew I was missing something. Get the gun. Let's see, can you make a wash from a darker paint, gloss, or matte varnish and water? Probably not with a varnish, to be honest. You want like a medium. I know that Citadel makes one. It's called like Lamian medium. The airbrush flow improver that I use from Vallejo is something like that. The varnish you don't really want to dick with, mainly because it dries like super fast, and it's not really meant to be brushed on. You have to be like really careful if you brush it on, because as it cures, it becomes a little more solid than just like the medium kind of just like drying and evaporating like water. And the medium can get kind of goopy. I don't mess with that stuff unless I airbrush it. But you can definitely make washes out of paints and stuff like that using the Lamian medium or the airbrush flow improver. Okay, I'm gonna switch to the brown. Yeah, it's this stuff right here. It's called Airbrush Flow Improver. It's just a clear medium. It's basically the same thing as Lamian medium. see if I can get these. It's like sepia to actually shade inside of these little ridges. They're so shallow. Gonna be a pain in the ass to paint good later. Okay, so now we can work on the big green cloth bits. We're just gonna go with some Bealtan green. It's already a black green, so it's really dark already, so just want to get some more green color in there. It's kind of a shade. And I think the last thing we need to do is his face. A little rubber stamp, that'd be cool. Make doing beauty seals and parchment a lot easier. It doesn't really dry with a gradient. Kind of what it's meant to kind of like pool in the like recessed details and then be darker than the paint that you put over top of it so that your shadows are really dark. But the wash itself doesn't really dry in a gradient. For our face, we get some purple wash out and actually thin it out with some water. It's too thin. I'll just use it straight from the pot. So you can kind of see as I'm putting this purple wash on his face, like the wash, the violet color is so much darker than the flesh tone that it settles into all the recesses and it redefines them so that the raised areas are brighter and the recesses of the sculpt are darker. Helps bring out the three-dimensionality. Purple's a really great color if you want like a really like hearty, strong skin tone, very like I don't want to say like flushed in the skin, but just like very very like vibrant. Let's see, we got a little under half an hour left. Okay, so all those washes are still drying, so I'm going to set him aside. And our Blood Angel's captain here should be pretty much dry. He looks really dry. Some parts of him are still shiny because the wash didn't get on there. But it looks like our wash is actually dark enough. So all those details are popped back out. We have a really vibrant, fire red going on. That's what I wanted. Before we get back to work on him, I'm going to go ahead and set up our raffle. Because Matt Aarons came in, dropped $25 into the channel, so that triggers the giveaway. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up. And I think I'm going to do it for some Elric bases. Let me check down here. Yeah, there's these. So I've got a package of the brand new resin baseline from Elric's Hobbies, which are these really nice fleur-de-lis temple ruins. These got like some Gothic church ruins with this really nice tile work, and you can see it's got the fleur-de-lis symbol sculpted in there, and then this other like kind of Victorian style tile. Looks really nice. I think that'll look really cool in a lot of different types of armies on there. So I've got a 5-pack of 40 mils. And I've got a whole bunch of Elric's products, so I'll throw together like a little grab bag of a bunch of different types of bases, so you can kind of see what they are. You have like a little trial run, I guess, of the Elric stuff along with this one set, and so we'll make it for that. So let me set that up real quick. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start this raffle. And I'm going to have it run for 15 minutes. Go. So the bot just posted, those are the instructions. If you want to get in to win this, it's going to take you your club points. 1 club point equals 1 ticket. So just minimum 1 ticket to get in, maximum of 100 tickets. You can check your club points by doing exclamation point clubs like Max Payne just did. And to do a ticket, it's exclamation point ticket space the number of tickets that you want to enter. And then we'll just have that running until just about the end of the show. Set those over there. And then now that I think of it, I need to give well, he's not in here. I'll have to remember to give him his extra tickets. Cool. So let's get the compressor going again. And we're going to matte coat this dude back so we can continue to paint on him. Ooh, I'm almost out of matte varnish.
You can have some of mine.
Yeah. Some next day shipping on that?
Yeah.
Only the best.
It hasn't even arrived yet. It'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Just pour some out and send it to you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks so much.
Put it in a little urine sample bottle.
Oh. That won't be suspicious at all. And so as I'm spraying this, it's going to go on wet, but as it dries, you'll notice that all the shine that was there goes away. And that's because this matte varnish is very flat and has a whole lot of surface tension. So all that shine is going away, and then as we paint more layers onto it, the paint will want to stick to it. Because usually what'll happen with the gloss varnish stuff is after the wash, if you just try to keep on painting on top of it, the paint will not want to stick to it. And it's just a huge pain in the ass. So I always matte varnish after using that technique. Should be good, and then we'll clean this out. You definitely do not ever want to have varnish dry inside of your airbrush.
Because what happens?
Oh, it just coats the inside of your airbrush and then cures, and you have to use like a fucking stripping agent to get it out of there. It's nasty.
Should have told a better horror story.
Oh, I have one even better. When I was a young hobby warthog, I bought my first airbrush, which was a overpriced Grex double action. And this was right around the time. No, it was a couple months after, but very quickly after I purchased that airbrush and started to learn how to use it, the new GW technicals came out, like the Typhus Corrosion, the Rizza Rust, the Nylic Oxide, all that kind of shit, right? And so my first thought was like, oh, this Typhus Corrosion is this cool like paint with grit in it. It's gonna do all this cool stuff. It can do all these cool effects with it and everything. And so without thinking, I was like, oh, you know what would be really cool is if I put this Typhus Corrosion in my airbrush and spray it, and I'll get that cool like corroded texture on whatever I spray. And like, nope. Fucking sprayed that shit. It did not want to ever come out of there. There was like no way to clean it out of the tiny little nozzle, and that grit ended up drying and just deadlined that fucking airbrush. Just trashed it. Scotty who knows what's up, man. Yeah, so don't ever do that. That is bad news bears. Alright, cool. So you can see how he's all matte again. There's no reflectiveness, no shine anywhere on the model. That's what that matte coat does. And it seals in all that wash, and you can see our super nice color gradients are still all up in there. They're very nice red armor. So we'll just like start blocking in some other stuff. I think first thing I'm gonna do, because painting yellow over black is kind of a pain in the ass. I'm gonna block in our yellow stuff first, and then I'll do our black stuff. So I'm going to start off with yellow ochre, and I'm going to put some on our palette here, and then mix it with a little bit of some of our airbrush paint, which is Sun Yellow, which is a really nice gold yellow from Game Air. So what this is going to do is it's still going to end up being kind of a muted yellow with that yellow ochre, which is kind of a khaki color. But the yellow ochre is going to darken down our sun yellow a little bit, and it's also going to give this airbrush paint some better stick, because the game color is not as densely pigmented as the model color is. So we're going to start off with this kind of like mustard yellow, very earthy, subdued yellow. So kind of like this color here, about like that. So instead of being a khaki, it is going to be a true yellow. It's going to be much easier to paint on. Did you see the stuff that Kenny was posting earlier?
Dude, did you see what Rob posted? I don't know, about 30, 40 minutes ago while you were streaming. No. Dude, like right outside LA, literally looks like fucking hell has descended on Earth.
Yeah, I saw some of those pictures. It's like the fucking mountains are literally on fire with people like stuck on the freeway. I was like, oh my god. That shit is fucking crazy.
Glad I don't live in California.
Yeah, for a whole host of other reasons besides being burned alive inside my own house. But yeah, like that shit's wild.
I'm glad I live right next to a big, lovely lake.
If there's ever a fire, just go hop in. Sanjin with that host, I appreciate you. Thanks for that. Didn't people do that actually in the one of the London fires? They all like piled on boats and like headed out into the Thames, and then ash and like burning cinders like blew out onto the Thames and then like caught the fucking boats on fire.
That wouldn't surprise me. So I used a Dark Angels Black Knight club, not the Corvus hammer, but
the ugly stick.
There's a big old beaten stick in there. So I put that on one of my Death Company models for a Thunder Hammer.
That's pretty good. Yeah, just gotta hit him with the ugly stick, man. Hey, Sanjin, thanks for that host, man. I appreciate it.
I'm thinking about doing, because I have a spare Corvus hammer too. I might use that as a Thunder Hammer.
Yeah, those pick hammers are really cool. I wish there were more like Thunder Hammer, like Warhammer shapes, like that, like a legit fucking Warhammer, like you know the game is named after.
Well, I mean the Thunder Hammers kind of are, but I mean the Corvus hammers are designed after like a medieval weapon that was designed to punch through plate mail.
Well, a lot of the actual Warhammers had a face, and they also had a pick. Where they had like the other half of the face had like prongs or a pick or just a pointed face on it, so that you had both, because you don't really need a whole lot to hurt somebody in plate with a Warhammer, because it's all about pounds per square inch.
Yeah.
So like you take all the force and put it down into like even something that's like the size of a pencil eraser, which you wouldn't think of as like something that would punch through anything is hard to steal. But yeah, you get about 6 pounds of that hammer behind it, and the force of the human arm. Yeah, that'll go right through, and all that force will carry on into people, into the flesh underneath. Okay, so got the eagle to the bolter here.
I do wish Space Marine kits came with more just empty hands, like, pointing or reaching out.
Oh, I know, right?
I really could use more of those.
I wish more Space Marines came with like this guy, where he's just like one-handing the bolter. I'm really not a big fan of the whole like just carrying the bolter in front of the chest.
Well, we also would probably all prefer the new Primaris sculpts of them actually looking like they're shooting the gun.
Oh yeah, where it's like shouldered,
where they're not going full 1930s Tommy gun.
But I mean, sometimes there's a place for that. Like, Gotta have at least one of those guys spraying and praying.
Yeah, but I mean,
Just
we all
hosing
kinda
down
would
some
probably-
heretics.
We all would probably wish that it weren't every model, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, thanks, Pixelia. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, have a good one. Oh, you don't like painting yellow there, Keo? I'm not a big fan of it either, but like I said, the reason I mixed this kind of medium yellow with our yellow ochre is because the yellow ochre, the model color, is so densely pigmented that even when you thin it down like crazy, it still has a lot of really good stick to it, and you don't have to do very many coats. Like, I'll probably only ever have to do probably 2. It covers pretty good, and you can see as it's drying, like, it covers pretty good. And because I have that color is the only reason I'm actually painting this stuff yellow instead of gold. just about out of time. I'm going to do kind of a second pass on these yellows real quick though, just to make sure they're nice and solid. And then we'll draw a winner for a little raffle that we had going. I think only 2 of you guys entered, so it's not going to be very exciting. It'll be a 50-50. But somebody's going to walk away with some sweet new Elric spaces.
What's the ticket limit?
Oh, it already closed.
Oh, did it? Oh.
Yeah, I only had to run it for 15 minutes. That is all the yellow that we need. Pretty good and blocked in. It's looking like the Ronald McDonald Marine right now. We've got to block in a whole bunch of other stuff when we come back on Saturday. Hey, what's up, Paul? How's it going, man? And Spartan Painting LN, what's up? We are just about to get out of here. Did a lot of work today. Got this dude all nice and airbrushed up with that sweet red armor. We were just blocking in some of his yellows. Those need to get good and dry. And the other thing we were working on was our Dark Angels Terminator Librarian, which is getting pretty close to finish. Got all the rest of our colors blocked in and got a wash on them, so now all we gotta do is start highlighting this stuff up. We'll be working on him. So yeah, when we come back on Saturday, we'll be working on these two guys. So hopefully getting this dude pretty close to finished and getting our sweet Blood Angel guy way more close to kind of a tabletop standard where we're trying to block in all the colors and then put a wash on those and then highlight those up, you know. So we'll be working on that when we come back on Saturday. For anybody who's new to the stream, on Wednesdays we stream 8 to 10 US Central Time, and then our other stream days is Saturday and Sunday, and we stream 5 to 8 p.m. US Central Time. So Saturday and Sunday is our like longer 3-hour streams, and we're kind of like earlier in the day a little bit. And we need to pick a winner real quick. Let's see who won. Draw winner. Oh, I gotta close it. Draw winner. Max Payne. It was a pretty good 50-50 with like 3 tickets and 3 tickets. So, congratulations, Max Payne. I'm sure you send me a whisper with your real name and mailing address, and make sure you put in the whisper what it was that you won, or else I'll forget. And let's see. Depending on how, if we can get the Librarian finished, we'll go ahead and start our like custom Imperial Space Marine, our Fallen Dark Angel, Rogue Trader looking dude. We'll start working on him, but only after the Librarian is finished. Right now, just 2 projects at a time is enough. So we'll be coming back on Saturday to work on these guys. So we've got our Deathwing Librarian and our Games Day 2012 2nd edition Blood Angel retro dude, looking pretty clowny right now, but we've got to block in everything else for him to start coming together. But the armor's looking good. I'm liking where our reds are at. Looking good there. Then once we get everything blocked in, we start highlighting up. I'll do the freehand because he's got these like really cool black flames freehanded on his armor, which is just awesome. I wish every Blood Angel player did that. 10 out of 10 Blood Angel paint scheme right here. So we're going to be doing all that fun stuff. And we're going to be using these new Elric's bases, which Max Payne just won some of. These Fleur de Leaf bases from Elric's Hobbies. So make sure you go check out elricshobbies.com. And if you're in the market for some really badass laser cut MDF terrain for all of your hobby needs, I think he makes shelves and stuff too. Go over to tabletopgamer.com. They'll hook you up. Probably working pretty hard, man. Like the big convention season is coming up, plus the holidays. So they're gonna have like the holidays, and then LVO, and then Adepticon not too long after that. So I mean, like they're gonna be busy. But I'm sure he'll stop by sometime soon. Let's see. Thanks for all the hosts. I know I'm about to get out of here, but I still appreciate it. We'll find somebody deserving of the host carrying on the viewers. So let's see who's on. All right. Thanks again to Matt Aaron for kicking off the giveaway trigger, that donation. Very much appreciate that, man. Thanks again. Thanks for all the new viewers and the new follows. It's always appreciated when I see new faces in the stream. I love it. Like I said, we'll be back this coming Saturday, 5 p.m. starting US Central Time. And then we're going to be going a full 3 hours to 8 p.m. And we're going to be working on these miniatures again, getting them to a more finished point. Can I figure out the whisper? Here, I'll just type something. Just right click on my name, or like, what is it? I think it's left click. Yeah, it's left click. I'll just whisper you. There you go. Should be able to reply to that. So I'm gonna set up a host. This is a new face in the community. We're gonna go see Everlast04X. I think it's just, you say Everlast, probably. But he's gonna have a new face in the community, so let's go give him a big old raid and make his evening. He says he's got way too much stuff to paint, so let's go see what he's got painting. And I'll see all of you pretty people on Saturday.